You know, ladies and gentlemen, we look at the drive-in movies of the mid-1970s, and several films come to mind. But 1975, there was a great amount of great horror movies and thrillers and what they call family films that drew a lot of people to your local, what they call overnight movie station. And one of them, of course, was a sequel to True Grit, a very underrated movie called Rooster Cogburn. Now, Rooster Cogburn, the 75 Western, directed by Stuart Miller, starred John Wayne in the title role and Katharine Hepburn. Written by Martha Heyer, who was credited as Martin Julien, was based on the character Rooster Cogburn from the Charles Portis 1968 Western novel True Grit. Again, the movie is a sequel to the '69 film that won Wayne an Oscar for Best Actor. Now, the plot details the continuing adventures of Reuben J. Rooster Cogburn, an aging one-eyed lawman whose badge is suspended due to a record of routine arrests that end in bloodshed. He is offered a chance to redeem himself by bringing in a group of bank robbers who have hijacked a wagon shipment of nitroglycerin, and finds himself aided in a quest by a spinster whose father was killed by the criminals. Explosive scenario. Now, in Fort Smith, Arkansas, in the late 19th century, aging Marshal Cogburn is stripped of his badge by Judge Parker due to his drunkenness and questionable use of firearms. When a shipment of highly explosive nitroglycerin is stolen from a transporting troop of U.S. Army cavalry by the ruthless bank robber Hawk and his gang of 9 other outlaws, Cogburn is given a chance to redeem himself. Alone, he enters Indian territory and tracks the bandits, who include Cogburn's former scout Breed, to the remote settlement of Fort Ruby, which is now a Christian mission. He comes upon the village the day after it had been overrun by the gang, who killed the elderly Reverend George Goodnight and a number of local Indians. The only surviving inhabitants that have not fled are the Reverend's spinster daughter, Mrs. Eula Goodnight, and one of her native students, a teenage boy named Wolf, whose family died in the attack. Cogburn tries to leave the pair at a nearby trading post, but he insists on coming with him to capture the bandits. Now, because the nitro has to be transported slowly so it does not explode, Hawk goes ahead with Breed and an injured man to prepare for the bank robbery. Cogburn, Eula, and Wolf overtake the rest of the gang and barricade the path through a gully with logs. When the bandits stop, Cogburn says he's the leader of the posse and threatens to blow up the nitro unless the criminals let him arrest them. One outlaw sneaks away and attempts to shoot Cogburn in the back, but Eula, proving herself to be an excellent sharpshooter, kills a man from across the gully. Cogburn shoots another man, and Eula and Wolf make a lot of noise by firing into the air, and the outlaws flee, leaving behind a wagon with the nitro, which also has a Gatling gun on board. They meet up with Hawk and take him back to the site of the ambush, where Breed determines that Cogburn lied about leading a large posse. Now, at this point in the movie, Katharine Hepburn and John Wayne had good, what they call camaraderie in the movie, and their one-liners are throwing back and forth makes the movie go faster. And when the movie goes as fast as it did, it should have been 2.5 hours, because 108 minutes wasn't enough for those two great thespians to work together. Now, as the movie goes on, the gang sets out in pursuit of the nitro and catches up with Cogburn's party that night. They kidnap Wolf, who has fallen asleep on his watch, and offer to exchange him for the explosive. Wolf shoots the man holding him and makes it back to Cogburn and Eula, and the trio is able to escape with the wagon after Cogburn has Wolf scatter the outlaws' horses. Now, coming upon a river, Cogburn commandeers a raft from an old ferryboat man named Shanghai McCoy, stashes the nitro and Gatling gun on board, and heads downstream, hoping to drop off Eula and Wolf somewhere safe before his final confrontation with Hawk. Breed and Luke, one of Hawk's men, are tasked with trailing the raft while the other members of the gang wait at a strategic narrows. Luke suggests he and Breed double-cross Hawk by taking the raft themselves, but just as Luke is about to shoot Cogburn, Breed kills Luke, saying that as Cogburn has once saved his life, they are now even. Breed warns Cogburn about Hawk's plan, and then rejoins the gang, but Hawk does not believe him when he says Luke was killed in a shootout with Cogburn, and knocks Breed off a cliff to his death. Now, Cogburn is able to hold the remaining members of Hawk's gang at bay with the Gatling gun, but just past the narrows are some rapids. Cogburn, Eula, and Wolf make it through safely, though the Gatling gun is lost. When they hear the gang's horses up ahead, the trio dumps several boxes of nitro overboard. to float ahead of the raft. Eula and Wolf delay Hawk by saying Cockburn is injured and pretending to surrender, and Cockburn shoots the floating boxes, blowing up the last 4 outlaws. Now back in Fort Smith, Eula convinces Judge Parker to reinstate Cogburn, even though he had stipulated Hawks be brought back alive. She and Wolf find some families to resettle Fort Ruby and part ways with Cockburn. The new friends hope their paths cross again someday. And considering that Katharine Hepburn plays kind of a lesbian spinster in this one, not typecasting at all. There's like I said, there's good camaraderie. Now the movie cost $10 million, and I thought it made more in the box office than it did. It took in $18 million in rentals, but it's been a big hit on TV throughout the years, especially on TCM and other movie networks. Now the cast of characters includes the great Anthony Zerbe as Breed, Richard Rodin, very underrated, as Hawk, John McIntyre as Federal Judge Parker, with Richard Ramosito as Wolf. Now, and of course, Strutter Martin plays the great Shanghai McCoy. Now, Rooster Cogburn, which was promoted as Rooster Cogburn and the Lady, in the opening credits featured a simpler title. There was a title change. Was the final film produced by Hal B. Wallace. While True Grit had been released by Paramount, Wallace made a deal with Universal to finance this film. The screenplay was written by actress Martha Heyer, who was Wallace's wife at the time, under the pen name Martin Julien. Although Stuart Miller was a longtime Hollywood producer, he had directed only one film, When the Legends Die, based on the 1963 novel of the same name by Hal Borland, prior to helming Rooster Cogburn. Now, the film was shot in Oregon in the fall of '74. The mountain scenes were filmed in Deschutes County, west of Bend, and the Whitewater Rapids were filmed on the Deschutes River, and the river scenes were filmed on the Rouge River in the counties of Josephine and Curry, west of Grants Pass, Smith Rock State Park, northeast of Redmond in Deschutes County, which was also used as a location for the film, and the Rockhard Smith Rock Climbing Guides building at the park's entrance, which was originally built as a set for Kate's Saloon. Now, John Wayne and Katharine Hepburn were both born in May 1907, with Hepburn the elder by 2 weeks, and their careers paralleled each other, yet this marked the only time the Hollywood veterans appeared together in a film. During filming, both 67-year-old stars stayed in Sun River, and Governor Tom McCall flew in for a brief visit with them in early October. Now, noted character actor Strutter Martin, who also was in Slapshot and Cool Hand Luke, portrays Shanghai McCoy in the film. He had appeared in True Grit as a different character, horse trader Colonel B. Stonehill, who, of course, who has the big conversations with Kim Darby. Now, in his review in the New York Times, Vincent Canby called the film a high-class example of the low Hollywood art of recycling, and praised the performances by the two leads, Wayne for his continuation of his Oscar-winning role as Cogburn, and Hepburn for a performance that recalls her marvelous characterization opposite Humphrey Bogart in The African Queen. Canby said it was a cheerful throwaway Western. Now, Roger Ebert didn't like it, giving 1 star out of 4. He said the chemistry is there at times when it does work, is largely because of the sheer acting craft of Wayne and Hepburn. Now, he said there is a weak narrative. Now, Jen Siskel of the Chicago Tribune gave the film 2 out of 4 stars and wrote it's a stupid story riddled with plot holes. Now, the script alone wasn't the best because it was just a series of one-liners, but to see Katharine Hepburn and John Wayne in such a movie. Now, it's not really appreciated by critics at every level. Gary Arnold of the Washington Post called it a patchwork conception that made it work if the script had been considerably more ingenious and the direction considerably more adroit. Now, screenwriter Julien hasn't discovered how to develop a relationship between hero and heroine that runs on the same track with the chase story. And Stuart Miller's direction is heavy as lead and slow as molasses. Now, it's 50% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes and 4.8 out of 10. I would give 6 out of 10. And again, just to have the opportunity, it would like be having Cary Grant and Gary Cooper in a movie in the mid-1950s before Gary died. I mean, it's legends on the screen. Now, although far less popular than True Grit, it was the 25th highest grossing film in that great year of 1995. Now, just to show you the competition, all 1970s, what a great year for movies. And you had all different levels. Now, the golden era of the drive-in had to be between 65 and 75. And again, this last bashing of the golden era, I think Rooster Cogburn is best seen on the big screen because of the Legends of the Fall type John Toll cinematography. It's a very, very visual film, just like True Grit is. Now, True Grit wasn't the best movie at all, but again, John Wayne in the West and Katharine Hepburn in the West. Like I said, it works for me. But it's kind of heavy-handed. I think that's one of the few movies that John Wayne was gentle to the Indians in these movies. So, I mean, that must have been a stretch for that. But like I said, you could see John Wayne was starting to feel his age, and at the time, he had just gone through surgery a while before to to battle his cancer and his medical conditions. But like I said, great performance for me. John Wayne, 3 stars. Katharine Hepburn, 3 stars. Put them together, you get 6. And the plot is throwing away. It's like a bad episode of Gunsmoke or Bonanza, if that's possible. But when I say bad, it's like retread. It's like putting bad tires on the car in the middle of winter. You're gonna probably, okay if you don't hit icy patches, but if you do, you're gonna spit out. So again, thanks for listening to our latest John Wayne podcast. If you like what we're doing here, we're a tribute to the Duke. Let us know what a like, comment, subscribe, or share. Don't forget, money we raise on the channels goes to important charities we promote. So if you want to give us a tip, as we say, you know how to do it. Please do so. If you don't, we're just glad thank you dropped in. And putting up with my cold today, I have a little bit of a strep throat, but like I said, it happens, and we do these takes live. So please understand that we do it to get it out, get it done, and to get over. Thanks for listening. Bye.